Yeah. Yeah. This is based on this. This is the conclusion to this. Literally 33 to 32 days, basically literally 34 to 33 to 32 years later. Yep. 34, 33, 32, depending on how you look at it, years later, and the 13 ghosts of Scooby Doo is getting a proper conclusion through this all new movie coming out in February called Scooby Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost. So yeah, this was something that really, if you're a Scooby Doo fan of any kind, or an animation fan of any kind, the trailer for this movie here, dropped this past week. And oh boy, was it a surprise. Now I'm not saying that the Scooby Doo direct-to-video movies haven't gotten that much hype or haven't gotten that much publicity or much love over the past several years. I mean, these things have been going, honestly, since about 1998. Almost 20 years. Well, actually 20 years this year they've been going. The very first one was, of course, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. And ever since then, we've been getting a fluxure, if you will, a fluxure of movies that have come out once or twice a year. And usually they'd be your standard, nowadays I should say, would be your standard full-length feature film with the traditional revealing of a guy or woman under a mask being the real culprit. I mean, the real culprit. Yeah. So easy for me to say. Culprit, yeah. Being the real culprit, or the mastermind behind it. Heck, they even incorporated this into Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. And somewhat teased it as well. Heck, they even incorporated it in Scooby-Doo 2002, the live-action film, and Monsters Unleashed. More so Monsters Unleashed than anything else. Even though a lot of what was going on was more real than they expected. But the usual fanfare lately with a lot of these films is it's always somebody behind a mask. Heck, let me show you what I'm talking about. If I can pull these out. Yeah. It was up to about this point, as far as I know, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, that basically you still had them dealing with a real-life kind of situation that was unexplainable until the very end, when it turned out to be somebody they thought they could trust that was behind the whole situation. I haven't seen this one yet, but I'm pretty sure it follows the same suit. It's Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword. I haven't watched it yet. Probably have to do that. Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire I did see, and technically it was a guy behind a mask kind of deal. And the same thing with the Monster of Mexico, which I did like. In fact, Monster of Mexico is pretty much one of the best ones that you get with this current crop of Scooby movies. And I think that's where it started with the current crop, was Monster of Mexico. I do have Bride of Frankenstein somewhere, I just gotta find it. As a matter of fact, here it is right here. I don't know about that one yet. Or Franken Creep. I don't know about this one yet, and it's on digital, so I probably have to put that on digital eventually. Anyone knows that. But yeah, the thing is, a lot of them lately have followed that trope that made Scooby-Doo famous since 1969. And what's funny though is when 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo came out in 1985, it was just a continuation of something that's been going on since about 1983. Maybe more so in the early 80s and all that. But 1983 to about 1987, the Scooby-Doo franchise kind of experimented with going in a direction to where the monsters and the ghosts and all that were real and not fakes. Heck, you take a look at, all new Scooby-Doo Scrappy-Doo show, Scooby-Doo Mysteries, and of course 13 Ghosts, and that's pretty much proven. Although some people might argue and say, well, what about some of those other episodes that came out with the new Scooby-Doo movies or the Scooby-Doo show? What about them? Didn't they have moments where it felt supernatural and beyond explanation? Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, Scooby-Doo and the gang meeting Genie, the Hanna-Barbera version of Genie from I Dream of Genie. You had them meeting Speed Buggy. Someone please explain that. You had all these different moments there, but it wasn't until, like I say, the early 80s and mostly, probably more so I should say, when you added Daphne to the mix, that basically you got a more, you had Hanna-Barbera experimenting with a more supernatural like direction. And that's where 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo really came into play, because when they would go on these mysteries and these cases and these missions, it wasn't because, oh, it's somebody in a mask. No, they were going after the real deal. The plot line, in case you guys don't know, is Scooby and Shaggy accidentally opened the chest of demons. They accidentally opened the chest. Both Scooby, Shaggy. I'm not sure if Scrappy or Daphne are involved, but it's mostly Scooby and Shaggy, and by association, Daphne, Scrappy, and even the new friend, a little con artist called Flim-Flam, are guilty by association. So all of them have to go after the chest. So all of them have to take what's known as the chest of demons and recapture all the ghosts that escaped from it. Well, for a majority of its run, they did get most of the ghosts. They did get most of them. The only thing that people still raise an eyebrow at is, did they get the 12th and 13th ghost? I'm pretty sure they got the 12th ghost in one episode, because in one episode I think they got not one but two. So the 13th ghost is the only one that remains. Unfortunately, as I said in the audio video where I talked about this, unfortunately the series ended after, of course, its normal sized, or I guess scheduled 13 episode run. It did not get a proper conclusion. And a lot of fans that have rediscovered the series in the past decade or so, in the past decade, 20 years or so, and even back then as well, have always been wanting a proper conclusion. Heck, I'm pretty sure when Hanna-Barbera decided to go in the direction of the Superstar 10 series, they were hoping that one of those would be a conclusion to 13 Ghosts. That did not happen. Instead of getting us a proper conclusion to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, they decided to basically sort of reboot Scooby-Doo a little bit with a pup named Scooby-Doo and go from there. Well, I'll say this, ever since all these direct-to-video Scooby movies have been happening, and with the plan of a theatrical animated Scooby movie called Scoob coming out, a lot of fans have always been wanting and hoping that maybe one of these would be what they've been asking for the past 20 to 30 years. Well, come February next year, you're going to get that. Because 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo apparently is going to get now a proper conclusion in the movie called Scooby Doo and the 13th Ghost. Now, the plot seems, as I mentioned in the audio, and I'll mention more so here, the plot seems very, very simple. This is what the synopsis says. This is what I would call the synopsis saying. The synopsis basically says that the Mystery Inc. gang goofed up on a mission, and thus because they goofed up, they are forced into an early retirement. So basically they have to sell off a lot of the stuff to even make some money, I guess, or to at least keep on their feet. And it's during a garage sale. That the crystal ball that was used in 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is uncovered. Basically, in the garage sale, this guy, and you can check out the trailer, I'll provide a link down below. But this guy asked how much for the crystal ball. And as soon as he asked that, the camera just turns and zooms right onto Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby. Why? Because they, of course, were the central characters along with Scrappy and Flim-Flam and Vincent Van Ghoul, but mainly they are three of the six centered characters of 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. So it zooms in on them, and they got this reaction when they see it, like, what? It's like they're in shock or the surprise that thing's still around. Because I'm guessing they believe they got rid of it. But anyway, it turns out that Vincent Van Ghoul has been trying to contact them for months to let them know that he has located the 13th ghost of the Chest of Demons. And I like it because you get this expression, and if I could provide it down here, the image down here, you'll see it in one of these areas. But you get this expression by this look on Daphne's face and Shaggy and Scooby like, oh crap, I thought we were done with this. So, yeah, we're basically getting a conclusion, and it looks like to me that this is going to be mostly a Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby and Flim-Flam, when he gets added in, and Vincent Van Ghoul movie. In a way, it's going to be basically a proper, if not semi-proper, follow-up and conclusion to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what about Fred and Velma? They're going to be in it. Yeah, they're going to be in the movie. But here's the thing. You take a look at the picture where Daphne has that expression of like, she thought that she and Shaggy and Scooby were done with this. You see that picture right there, and Fred and Velma are looking at each other like they have no clue what's going on. Like, they're looking at each other like, we're kind of out on a loop here, guys. You mind explaining what's happening? That's what they got. I mean, they're looking at each other like, okay, what's going on? Do you three mind explaining, kind of deal? That's what it is. It's mainly they're like, you mind explaining what's happening and who this guy is? Now, it did get referenced, I'm guessing in Mystery Incorporated, that during the times Fred and Velma were not around, and it was just Daphne along with Shaggy and Scooby and them, mainly the explanation was they were at camp. Now, in Mystery Incorporated, it's indicated by Fred himself that he was at trap camp, and Velma, I'm guessing, was at science camp or NASA camp. I don't know. But mainly they were at camp during certain moments, which would explain, according to the synopsis, where they were for 13 Ghosts. Because according to the synopsis for this movie, both Fred and Velma were at camp. One could suffice and interpretate that meaning that Fred was at trap camp, like he mentioned in Mystery Incorporated, and Velma was at science or NASA camp as well, thus the reason they weren't around. But here's what's unique about the synopsis. The synopsis basically states it was during the summer. Really? So if this was during the summer, then why does it feel like the series, the original series, takes place almost for a whole year? I'm just saying. Why does it feel like it takes place over a year, or at least half a year? Why does it feel like it does? I mean, I can understand that if it's day after day or week after week during the summer, they're going after the ghost. I can understand that concept, but... Excuse me. But if one of the episodes takes place during Halloween, or around that time frame, I seriously doubt it takes place mostly throughout the summer. I seriously doubt that. I seriously doubt it. But yeah, apparently, you know, that's why Fred and Velma went around. They were at camp during the summer. Okay, I'll accept it, but I'm not going to accept the fact that 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo took place during the summer. Because like I said, the timeline, because basically when you watch the damn series, it feels like the series takes place throughout a whole year. Not just the summer, but a whole freaking year. Anyway, what I like about Fred and Velma's involvement in this, though, is obviously they're going to be caught up to speed about what's going on. But what I like about this is Velma's reaction at first. Because Velma is being kept in a way that she's been kept before, and has made her who she is. And that is, she's very skeptical about this whole situation being real. I mean, she basically says in the trailer that ghosts are not real. She still has that belief, if you will. So, with her having that belief, you see throughout the trailer that she's starting to kind of believe that maybe there is more to what is going on than she thought. I mean, Fred, I like Fred here. Fred basically is more accepting of the fact that, hey, this might be legit. This might be good. I mean, at the end of the trailer, he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, yeah, let's go do some ghost busting, or let's go bust some ghosts or something like that. So I like how Fred's being treated. Like, yeah, he's out on a loop at first. He's out on the loop at first, but he is more willing and acceptive of the fact that, hey, this might be real. This might be the legit, real deal, Velma. You might not want to be skeptical, kind of deal. Like, he's more willing and accepting of it. Well, it takes certain moments and situations for Velma to even start believing that, oh, this might be real. This might be legit. Now, I know that some people are thinking, watching this, they're thinking, well, wait a minute. Velma usually used to not always be skeptical, right? Exactly. I mean, heck, Mystery Incorporated pretty much proved that she's willing to accept that there is more to things than meets the eye. She is. You know, heck, Scooby Doo on Zombie Island is a good example of that as well. But I think to keep her more in tone or in tune with what made her who she was originally, they're trying to basically make her more down to earth. Like, look, I'm willing to accept that there are certain unexplainable things, but there is no way something like this exists. And I think maybe it plays on the fact that she along with Mystery Inc. have gone on so many missions and solved so many cases and mysteries that most of the time, despite the practical effects or special effects or whatever is used, that usually the person behind it, man or woman, is revealed to be just somebody under a mask. Whether it's somebody that they met but they didn't suspect, or somebody that was, or basically somebody that has been was always a main suspect, but they always had all these other clues and people to work off of. You kind of get what I'm saying, right? But yeah, basically Velma is being portrayed basically as someone that she's willing to believe certain things and willing to believe that there are certain unexplained phenomenons here and there, but she's basically steadfast on the fact that, yeah, she's willing to believe some of that, but there are certain things that because they've done so many mysteries and cases that, you know, she's willing to also accept that there may be something not right about what this whole situation is, kind of deal, or something. But yeah, the way she's being portrayed is the fact that it takes certain moments in the movie for her to stop believing that maybe there is something legit about this whole 13 ghosts kind of situation, and this whole chest of demons deal and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, they do bring Flim-Flam back, and he's brought back as a full-grown adult. He's a teenager. So it's cool that they brought him back, even though some people felt he was one of the more annoying characters in the series. So hopefully they don't make him annoying or anything in the movie. Like maybe he's matured, but you can kind of tell he still has a bit of that Flim-Flam when he was a kid personality in him when you see him in the trailer. One question a lot of people are gonna wonder is whether or not they're going to address the whole Scrappy Doo thing, because Scrappy was a huge integral part in the group. So it makes you wonder if they're going to address that, if either Vincent or Flim-Flam are going to ask about Scrappy's whereabouts. I have to wait and see. But if they do, I wouldn't be surprised if it's done in a comedic way, or they probably say, yeah, you know, he kind of went off the deep end, so we had to put him in an asylum or something. I don't know. They'll come up with something. They're going to come up with something if they address it. What I do like about this, and this is another thing a lot of people pointed out, was Daphne's outfit. Now, as you see in the trailer, or as you see in the first pic, she has her regular standard outfit. But then, if we look in one of the other pictures that will appear, she does have what looks like a more modern take, a more modernized take on her 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo design that she had back when that series came out. So it's and that's my dog. So it's nice to see that they've given Daphne a more updated version of her 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo design and outfit. So I like that, and I like the fact that Daphne she does kind of get into it and is more excited about this because she even exclaims in the trailer that Mystery Inc. is back in business. So it's so Daphne's role here, or Daphne's part in this movie, I think a lot of people are really liking. The fact that she's very enthusiastic about, at first it's like, she looks like, hold on. No, it's just my dog. Was wondering what she was barking at. But, like I said, Daphne seems to be very enthusiastic. I mean, and that's a contrast to what you see at the beginning, because she's got this look on her face, as I mentioned, like, oh crap, I thought we were done with this. But as soon as, I guess, the explanation is made about how the 13th ghost was found and everything, she starts getting into that, like, okay, let's get down to business kind of deal. So it's really cool. It's really cool to see this side of Daphne come out in this movie, and her kind of be like the leader this time around of the gang. And again, it's mostly seems like it's going to be a straight up 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo conclusion, because one of the final moments in the trailer has just Vincent Van Ghoul, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby, and I think maybe Flim-Flam, I'm not really sure, running away from an avalanche. So I like the fact that they at least are focusing maybe on the fact that, yeah, Fred and Velma are tagging along, but that's mostly going to focus on the original cast of 13 Ghosts. The other thing a lot of fans like is the return of the red mystery van, but this time it's got like a little white lightning bolt on the sides. So they like that. They like the fact that that's back. The only other question they have is if we're going to get an appearance by Bogle and Weird, which were the two bumbling ghosts that tricked Scooby and Shaggy, or lured Scooby and Shaggy into opening the chest of demons. I'm wondering if we'll get them. Who knows? You know what's funny is if they. You know what I just thought about? What's funny is if they go in the direction of a man or of a person behind a mask deal with this movie, and the man and the people behind the mask, or the person behind the mask, or the illusion, or whatever, turns out to be Bogle and Weird, and then it just dawns on Daphne and all of them that, oh, they're the 13 Ghosts. Okay, suck you in into the chest. You know, if that turns out to be what happens, I wouldn't put it past them. But I hope that doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't. Knowing how the Scooby Doo movies have been going lately, I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody that's close to them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be Flim-Flam, that they say is the person behind all this. But then again, you know, that might be too obvious. The fact that he's working with them. So I don't really know. I don't know what's going to happen. But hopefully they don't go that route, and hopefully they just go that traditional route we know of with 13 Ghosts, and that is just have them capture or maybe even destroy the 13th Ghost, and perhaps the message for Velma at the end, or the lesson for Velma at the end, is to not always be skeptical about certain things you don't have any idea or don't know anything about. So, you know, maybe that will happen with Velma. That, you know, like I said, the lesson she'll get is don't always be skeptical about things that you believe are fake when they could turn out to be real. So, again, though, this is something that I think a lot of us have been waiting for, and this is definitely a movie. I haven't picked up a lot of the new Scooby Doo movies lately because mostly they've been all DVD. I don't know why they don't put them on Blu-ray anymore. Maybe cost efficiency, I don't know. But this is definitely one I will be picking up next year because I love 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Like everybody else, I've been wanting it to be concluded. I wanted it to have a proper conclusion, and now it looks like we're getting it. So, cannot wait to see this. Cannot see what the roles are for a lot of the Mystery Inc. gang. Again, you know, having Fred and Velma tag along, I think is cool because, you know, at least it catches, because storyline wise, it does catch them up on what's going on, and it does play off the fact that one is skeptical about all this being real, and the other's like, hey, I'm willing to accept it. Hey, if it's real, I'm willing to go for it. I'm willing to accept the legitimacy of it. So yeah, having them tag along and then playing off those traits of them, I think is kind of cool. Again, we don't know what the end result's going to be. Like if they do go the route of a person behind a mask, or if it does turn out to be legit and it makes a believer out of Velma. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really fun to see. And again, whether or not they address the Scrappy situation, I think, which I believe they probably will, but they'll probably do it in a throwaway like kind of deal, or at least they'll kind of give some kind of explanation that's not just throwaway, but kind of like something along the lines of, yeah, you know, he kind of went off the deep end a little bit. Maybe they'll reference Scooby Doo 2002, the live action film, as to basically him going off the deep end or something. I don't know. But yeah, overall, the idea that we're getting a a follow-up and a conclusion to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, literally 33 to 34 to 35 years later. Or not 35, but literally 32 to 33 to 34 years later. I'm excited for, and I cannot wait to see how this all pans out. And again, this is probably, when you look at a lot of the movies that have come out, this is probably the most anticipated in a long time when it comes to these direct-to-video Scooby movies. So, cannot wait to see it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Hope you guys enjoyed this follow-up. I know it went for about a half hour or so long. I do apologize. But let me know what you guys think about it. What do you expect to happen? How do you think they'll go? What direction do you think they'll go with this? And that's all. And really, that's all I can say. And I'll talk to y'all later.